So in April this year, 2013, it's 2 months after I've had my second child, a little boy, Huey, and I'm having a Skype session, coaching session with Katharina. She's in Bali, I'm in the UK, and we're joking, saying I should go out to Bali. I should come out to Bali and do my coach training out in Bali. And of course then the seed's planted. So I start thinking, is this possible? Could I go out to Bali, having just had a baby 2 months ago, and go and do my coach training out there? Is it possible? So I started thinking, and as you do when you've got a small baby, I was awake during the night a fair amount of the time, so I got to mull the idea over and think about it, consider whether it was possible. And so began my journey of climbing mountains, because that's honestly how it felt. Climbing mountains to get to a decision. The first mountain was having a conversation with my partner about it. Having done the work that I've done, one of the areas that I had really committed to work on was in my relationship with my partner, and something that I had consistently done in the past is, I'd come up with an idea of something that I wanted to do or something that I think ought to happen, and I would in my head sort it all out, get everything organised, and then just present it to him as a fait accompli, done. So I really challenged myself in this situation, and I had a conversation with him, and I said to him, what do you think about me going to Bali? What do you think about me taking Huey? I'm feeding him myself, so wherever I go, he goes. What do you think about it? I'd really like to do it. I kind of think I'm a little bit mad to consider it, but what do you think? And I think it was one of the first conversations that I genuinely had with him where I wasn't attached to a particular outcome. I was genuinely just exploring the idea with him. And the reason it was a mountain, that's one. Also because he mirrored to me all the cynicism that I was feeling about it. He mirrored to me all the fear that I was feeling about it. He told me I was crazy. I also challenged myself to not come up with all the answers, to not go into the conversation being able to answer all the questions that would come at me, but really just to be very open in the conversation and see where it took us. So that started a whole series of conversations. The second mountain that I had to climb was my own fear. My fear of travelling halfway around the world, not just on my own. I've done a good amount of travelling on my own, but to go on my own with for when I was planning it, what would be a 3-month-old baby. My fear of what other people would think, the judgments of other people. Who's this crazy woman leaving her small child at home and travelling half the way around the world on a whim to do a course with her 3-month-old child? She must be insane. What kind of mother is she? All of this stuff was going through my head. My fears for Huey, to take him to effectively a third world country. He wouldn't be able to have all the immunisations that our medical board suggest that you have before you go because he's too young. What if he got sick? How would I deal with that? How would he deal with the heat? Would he be okay with it? So all of these fears mounting. Fears about leaving my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter at home. Would she be okay without me? Would she miss me? Would it be unsettling for her? Fears about what I was asking of my partner as well, to manage without me, to be able to get Poppy where she needed to be and get himself to work and do everything, you know, was that asking too much? The third mountain was financial. You know, could I really afford this? It's not just paying for the course, but I'm paying to go half the way around the world, the expense of staying somewhere. You know, could I really justify that amount of money? And slowly, slowly, I climbed those mountains. I climbed them, I climbed them, I kept on climbing. And there were so many times when, you know, I would think things like, why can't they just be in, like, Italy or something? Because that would make my decision easier. Or, you know, why can't they be in London? That would be super, super simple for me. And now, sitting on the other side of it, I realised that it had to be Bali. You know, it had to be that far. Because it was, that mountain was about how far am I willing to go? How much am I willing to do? What amount of money am I willing to spend? What number of difficult conversations, challenging conversations, conversations that put me way out of my comfort zone am I willing to have to really commit to myself, to do something that's for me? You know, this was like the ultimate experience and challenge and gesture of really loving myself, looking after myself, putting myself first. You know, that's not to say I'm disregarding anybody else at all, but it was about putting me first. And so it was important that it was Bali and it was halfway around the world and it was a third world country, because it meant that every point of my decision making and being willing to go gave me the potential for learning. And, you know, Bali is beautiful and it's loving and it's joyful and the people are so kind. Having that intense time with Katharina and Jerry, you know, the two of them and me, and of course Huey in the background, mostly gurgling and kicking his feet and sleeping and feeding and doing what babies do when they're 3 months old. To have that intense time, just the four of us, was precious, because nothing escaped being able to draw out the learning potential from it. You know, just the everyday things, like Huey has a complete meltdown and cries consistently in a restaurant. Okay, what's my ego doing now? How am I dealing with this? What can I learn from this? You know, people come up to me and say, gosh, it's very hot out here. Is he doing all right? Is he coping okay? And of course what that raises in me is my fears, you know, that incessant chatter in my head. Oh my God, I've brought him halfway around the world. He is overheating. I'm insane to do this. But of course with Jerry and Katharina there, ripe, pluck it for the learning. And actually that has helped me to carry on that practice once I left Bali. You know, after coming away, having had that experience, I was able then to really sustain that within my own learning and within my own self-questing. The daily sessions that we had, my experience of my personal quest was an incredibly fluid, rolling, flowing, intuitive experience. And what the coach training gave me was the head to balance the heart. So it allowed me to see the structures that sit around this work. So both the simplicity of the quest model, the simplicity of the chain of questioning, and the genius of the distinctions that sit around it, that provide the structures and the framing and the points of difference as well. For me, the whole experience has taken, you know, I talked in my testimonial for my personal quest journey about how embodiment was really important to me. and this experience on my coaching and teaching journey has taken embodiment to a whole nother level. And it's transforming my coaching. You know, whilst I don't think that being a coach or coaching other people is necessarily something that has to come out as an end result of this, for me it was really important. You know, this is what I do, and I remember saying to Katharina, you know, this is how I want to be able to coach people. You know, I want to be able to make this much of a difference to people. I want to bear witness to this kind of transformation in people. And it's beginning to happen. You know, I'm experiencing a real transformation in my coaching, and, you know, it's helping me to be with other people and help them really get to the core of what's holding them back. Really get to the core of their limited thinking, so that they can see how it manifests itself in their behaviours, and through transforming that to a place of limitless thinking, it transforms behaviours. And, you know, I'm seeing people that I'm working with being able to be even more who they are, and I know that I'm being able to be more of who I am through every coaching session that I have with Katharina and Jerry coaching me, or when I'm coaching other people. You know, this is a constant work in progress, and I love it for that.